Well, that's the end of the film. Now here's the meaning of life. Thank you, Brigitte. Well, it's nothing very special. Try and be nice to people, avoid eating fat, read a good book every now and then, get some walking in, and try and live together in peace and harmony with people of all creeds and nations.
Monty Python's The Meaning of Life stars Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones and Michael Palin. It was directed by Terry Jones with animation and special sequences by Terry Gilliam. Hi, hello, welcome to my first proper YouTube video. It's not going to be the best, bear in mind, because, it's the first thing I've ever tried doing, but I am trying my hardest, I promise you. My microphone isn't the best too, I apologise. But yeah, enjoy, I guess, as much as you can. The Meaning of Life contains loads of little sketches throughout what chapters of life there is. There's birth, growth, fighting, middle age, live organ transplants, the meaning of life, and, death. This film is a comedic overlook on one of the most debated, confusing, and, let's be real, it's one of the most terrifying questions in the world. What does happen after you die? This film was released in 1983, and let's be real, guys, it was the Pythons. It did its rounds back in the day, and it's still doing its rounds today, which I think is incredible. You have to have a lot of talent for your stuff to still be relevant so many years later. Speaking of Monty Python as a whole, I think one of the main reasons that it was so popular wasn't just because, they're bloody hilarious. It's the musical aspect to their films. All of their films have brilliant songs in them that, let's be real, only they could think of. While on the subject of the musical aspects, the song Meaning of Life, which is played in the credits of The Meaning of Life, goes through just what the meaning of life could be. It states things like, is there a heaven or hell? Do we reincarnate? Has anything we've ever done actually mattered? Was it the chicken or the egg? What's it all about? What is the point? Which are all very valid questions, and ones that I can guarantee everyone has had at least once, because it's true. We don't know what happens. We don't know anything. This film has it all, really. Giving birth, having children, growing up and going to school, even going to war. Then there's a classic midlife crisis, live organ transplants, which I'd say, is more for comedic purposes. But even in that scene, Eric Idle sings a brilliant song to Mrs. Brown called Galaxy Song, about how sometimes we feel life to be pointless, meaningless. And it's really hard not to think that sometimes. If you listen to the lyrics, it really puts into perspective of how tiny and really insignificant we are compared to the universe. This line itself, so remember when you're feeling very small and insecure,
how amazingly unlikely is your birth?
It's quite comforting in a way. It goes to show how incredible it is that we exist. It could almost give a man purpose. In the chapter, The Meaning of Life, a waiter-uniformed Eric Idle leads the camera man to his childhood home. He says, "The world is a beautiful place. You must try and make everyone happy, and bring peace and content with you everywhere you go. And so I became a waiter." Well, it's not much of a philosophy, I know, but, well, fuck you. I can live my own life in my own way if I want to. Fuck off. Yeah, maybe I should take up voice acting. Then, inevitably, comes death. Now, this is where I think the film gets quite meaningful. Well, it's the meaning of life, you'd hope so. Obviously, people will believe whatever they want to in the retrospective, what happens after you die, as in every sperm is sacred says. There are Jews in the world, there are Buddhists, there are Hindus and Mormons, and then there are those that follow Muhammad, but
I've never been one of them.
there are so many religions and so many beliefs, so who's to say who's right and who's wrong? So this specific film, it focuses on more of the heaven and hell belief. So it starts with the Grim Reaper showing up to a group's home where they're having dinner as friends. It's a nice moment, you know. The lot of them are blissfully ignorant, I would say, to put it nicely. And a lovely looking Eric Idle comes and answers the door, even invites the Grim Reaper in for tea, you know. Cup of wine. Yeah. Now, I don't think that they had this particular intent of this. It's probably just how I perceived it. But I think it shows how accepting people can be of death. You know, I mean, he invited him in, you know, all lovely. I think, especially when you know you've lived your life well.
This world. Good Lord. I am death.
The moment was bittersweet. Obviously, I said, I don't think they had that intent to make such, you know, a statement. But I think even if the Pythons may not have meant to make such a metaphor, one of the great things about film is it's open to so much interpretation, and you know, you can make it however you want, really. You could make it more personal to you. And alas, once the Grim Reaper makes it clear that they are going to die, they do start to panic a little, but they come to terms. It's more a jokingly panic sort of thing. Nothing's taken really seriously, as, you know, the Pythons weren't serious at all. And now for one of my favourite scenes, where the Grim Reaper tells them it's the salmon paste, whatever it was, that's what killed them. And Eric Idle's character's first reaction wasn't to, you know, panic that, you know, they're dead. It was to defend herself. Well, you know, what a legend. It just goes to show, no matter how serious the topic, they will never lose that comedic value. The scene cuts them all going to heaven, you know, driving there in their ghost cars. Lovely touch, may I say. They're greeted by a Merry Christmas, which, according to this representation of heaven, Christmas is every day. They all go to a massive grand hall, sitting at a table with hundreds of others around them, and they watch a performance, Christmas in Heaven, which, come on, it's another banger. Then that was, you know, the end of the film. Apart from the clip that I played at the beginning of the video, where, you know, it was called The End of the Film, where Michael Palin is given a letter that had written on what the meaning of life was. It states, try to be nice to people, avoid eating fat, read a good book every now and then, get some walking in, and try to live together in peace and harmony with people of all creeds and nations. Which is pretty good advice. Overall, this film was both comedic as well as, you know, even philosophical. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but it captures all of the world's deepest questions while still staying light-hearted and, you know, ha-ha funny. Which I believe are the best things about Monty Python's films. To be that progressive in the 1980s is, you know, incredibly impressive. And it's not only the meaning of life that includes this, just like the Holy Grail and Life of Brian does as well.
Don't you worry. We'll soon have you cured.
Monty Python were the pioneers of comedy in Britain back in the 70s to the 80s, and are still just as relevant in today's scene too. In short, British comedy would never be what it is today without the influence of Monty Python. So, thanks for that.
Ah, I see you have the machine that goes ping!